Jaden McDaniels might have been right about the Nuggets defense. The Wolves just outplayed the Nuggets right from the opening tip last night. The first quarter went about as badly as it could have for Denver, with absolutely nothing falling. I didn't even hate a lot of their looks, they just couldn't make any shots. It was always going to be a tough game with no Aaron Gordon, but Minnesota really was taking full advantage and playing with a level of physicality that the Nuggets just can't match. The Wolves do have by far the more athletic, lengthier, and more physical roster, and it really did show on both sides of the ball last night. The Nuggets have absolutely no rim protection, so the Wolves were getting whatever they wanted in the paint. There's no resistance whatsoever, and Denver was getting decimated at the rim and in transition. The Nuggets had a decent enough second quarter offensively, but that really was nullified by the Wolves not showing any signs of slowing down on their offensive end. The only way for Denver to respond would have been to start stringing together some stops on defense and then get the offense going. Just getting the offense going alone was never going to be enough. And they never got too hot. They simply made it up to an average offensive quarter in that second. And again, on defense, they had no answers for the Wolves. Minnesota was still getting whatever they wanted in that matchup with Jokic in the paint. Awful game for the Nuggets through the first half. That was something that continued all the way through the second half. Very bad loss for the Nuggets. Unlike games 1 and 2, Jokic came out very aggressive tonight, but with very lackluster results. Very poor efficiency. Gobert was still locking him down. The Nuggets cannot afford Jokic taking that many shots and making that few of him. He's never been that much of a high usage guy. He is going to be a playmaker more often than not. For some reason, Minnesota has been able to push him away from his playmaking roots. Last night especially, they forced him to really just take on a massive portion of the offensive load, and he simply was not able to deliver. Gobert has been amazing in that matchup so far this series, and everyone else on the Wolves is just making it difficult on Jokic to get anything easy, whether that is at the rim or from three, or Jokic has been ice cold all series long. Although the second half was technically a better offensive showing for the Nuggets, they did score more points. That was largely by virtue of getting to the free throw line so much. It really was not a closer game than it was in the first half. It remained a dog walking from start to finish. And with that said, things are now getting very dire for Denver. Letting game 2 get away from them was bad enough, but they got run off the floor last night, and if they can't respond early on in game 4, the same exact thing is going to happen if they lose game 4. Even though Jokic and Jamal have done it before, I don't see them completing the comeback from the 3-1 deficit. Game 4 is a must-win for the Nuggets. Looking ahead to game 4, I would like to see the Nuggets reevaluate how they use Jokic. In games 1 and the majority of 2, he was being way too passive, not hunting his shot enough. At the end of game 2 and all throughout game 3, we saw him have the exact opposite issue, hunting the shot way too much, even when it wasn't falling against Gobert, and really just not looking to make any plays, not looking to make any kick-out passes. I don't know whether it's a lack of trust in his teammates' shooting ability at this point in the series or whatever it is, but there's no reason for Jokic to be taking 26 shots last night, especially with how few of them he made. So moving into game 4, he has to find a happy medium between how he played for the first 7 quarters of the series versus these last 5, because neither version looks like the Jokic that we've seen all season long, and neither one is ultimately going to be able to lead Denver out of this deficit. With all that said, the blame for the loss last night does not rest solely on Jokic's shoulders. No one else for Denver could get it going either, but another big component of that was only 3 assists for Jokic and just 12 total for the team. There was a stretch in the third where he just gave up on even the pretense of playmaking and started taking whatever shots were available as soon as he caught the ball, and they absolutely cannot have him turn to that kind of play style. They obviously have to lock in on the defensive end first and foremost, and then use that to unlock the offense, but they do need more ball movement, need more assisted shots. The Nuggets offense from game 3 is simply not going to cut it in any capacity against this Wolves team. For Minnesota, I do give them massive credit for knowing exactly what their advantages in this series are and exploiting them to their fullest extent. The ball is in Denver's court. because if they cannot adjust, then the Wolves will just run them off the court again in Game 4. Game 4, as I've said, is a must-win for Denver, and if they can't do a better job of protecting the paint than they did tonight, they might as well not even show up for Game 5. They simply cannot afford another game where Zeke Naji is their best player, and that was unfortunately the case for Denver tonight. I really did believe in the Nuggets even after that rough Game 2 loss. After tonight, it is difficult to maintain any faith in Denver's ability to pull this thing out. If Game 4 goes the Nuggets' way, anything could still happen, but as of right now, it is looking like Wolves in 5, which is a crazy turnaround for Minnesota after how they looked in Game 1.